Well, we are live and happy Monday. And welcome back for all of you brave souls that came back even after last week. We got beat up, right? In a good way, in a good way. You know, the process is never pretty. The process is sometimes painful. And last week we got some jab, uppercuts. This book delivered for us. But you know what I believe that last week the veils were lifted from our eyes. And so I am so grateful to all of you that are joining us as you're logging on. Let me know what city, what state, and or what country you might be logging in from, right? So you guys know why as you're doing that, I'm going to tell you, that we want you to, of course, tag and share, right? Add someone because sharing is caring. But why is book club so important? Book club is so important. Number one, because leaders are readers. If you are a leader in any capacity, whether it be in ministry, whether it be at your job, whether it be in business, just a leader in your own home, right? Maybe a leader in an organization. Well, book club is important because leaders are readers. Book club is important because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Your cup must be filled, especially to all of you that are constantly and consistently pouring out to others. And third, we are never going to earn more than we learn. And so we always have to be the student so that we will continue to grow in our mindset, but so that we will grow in our income as well, so that our income is not capped because our growth capacity is capped. So I am excited because I have a gift, right? And the gift that I have is that I am able to bring the book alive for you. So you don't even need the book. That's right. You don't even need the book. But here's what you got to do. Pay attention. Maybe take some notes. If you're in your car and you're driving, thank you for joining, but definitely keep your eyes on the road and just listen to my voice. I'm very excited that I tend to have a gift to understand the author and what the author is trying to convey through the words. So even if you've read this book before, Think and Grow Rich, I promise you that you've never heard it like you're going to hear it this evening, all right, today, or I don't know, whatever time it is in your world, whether it's morning, whether it's noon, whether it's evening, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the replay. Let's take a dive into Think and Grow Rich. So what I'm going to do is we're almost finished chapter 6, and I want to go back and read a little bit of the last page that we read to give you to put us back in context as to where we came from. It says the publisher of books which sell for a nickel made a discovery that should be worth much to publishers generally. He learned that many people buy titles and not contents of the books. Now, I want you to listen to that again. For those of you who are in business, many people buy titles and not the contents of books. People buy movements in business, not particularly your product and or your service, but they will purchase a movement just like they will purchase a title, not the content of the books. By merely changing the name of the book that was not moving, his sales on that book jumped upward more than 1 million, more than 1 million copies. The inside of the book was not changed in any way. He merely ripped off the cover by bearing the title that did not sell. So you don't have to change a thing on the inside, but sometimes you have to change the method. Sometimes you have to change the system. Sometimes you have to change the packaging if you want to upscale your business or get those numbers moving. So the inside didn't change. He merely ripped off the cover bearing the title that did not sell and put on a new cover with a title that had box office value. That, as simple as it may seem, was an idea. It was imagination. There is no standard price on ideas. The creator of ideas makes his own price, and if he is smart, he gets it. The moving picture industry created a whole flock of millionaires. Most of them were men who couldn't create ideas, but they had the imagination to recognize ideas when they saw them. The next flock of millionaires will grow out of the radio business, which is new and not overburdened with men of keen imagination. The money will be made by those who discover or create new and more meritorious radio programs and have the imagination to recognize merit and to give the radio listeners a chance to profit by it. The sponsor, that unfortunate victim who now pays the cost of all radio entertainment, soon will become idea conscious and demand something for his money. The man who beats the sponsor to the draw and supplies programs that render useful service is the man who will become rich in this new industry. Crooners and light chatter, artists who now pollute the air, and wisecracks and silly giggles will go the way of all light timbers, and their places will be taken by real artists who interpret carefully planned programs which have been designed to service the minds of men as well as provide entertainment. Here is a wide open field of opportunity screaming its protest at the way it is being butchered because of the lack of imagination and begging for rescue at any price. Above all, the thing that radio needs is new ideas. So I want to pause right there for a minute. Is your business struggling? Is your ministry struggling? Could it be because you lack imagination? Could it be because you've not implemented an idea? So the opportunity, check, you've got it. The idea, check, you got it. But you didn't implement it because you don't want to use your imagination because it does not appeal to your logic. Well, logic will keep you broke. I'm not stuck. I'm going to let that marinate. I wish I had my phone. I actually left it sitting on the table over there, or I would actually look up some words for you. But I want you to understand, above all things, it says that the radio needed new ideas. So if this new field of opportunity intrigues you, perhaps you might profit by the suggestion that the successful radio programmers of the future will give more attention to creating buyer audiences and less attention to listener audiences. Stated more plainly, the builder of radio programs who succeeds in the future must find practical ways to convert listeners into buyers. So, what business are you in? And perhaps your sales are down. Perhaps your numbers are down. Well, this says that you've got to give more attention to creating buyer audiences. How do you create a buyer audience? Well, first, you got to know who your buyer audience is. Who's buying what you offer, whether it's a product or a service. What is your ideal client? Who are they? What are their pain points? And once you understand, you can't sell a weight loss product to a person who doesn't need to lose weight. You can't sell an energy product to someone who doesn't need energy. You can't sell a sleep aid product to someone who falls asleep with no problem. Who is your market? Who are you servicing? If you're selling an energy product, then you need to be selling an energy product to somebody who needs energy. You got to know who your market is. Is your market people that are 40 to 50, 40 to 65, who are working class women who are going through the change of life? You need to know who that market is so that you can convert your listeners into buyers, right? The successful producer of radio programs in the future must key his features so that he can definitely show its effect upon the audience. Key your features. Sell features. Sell benefits, rather, not just features when it comes to products and or services. What are the benefits? How will this, now I'm giving you these for free, okay? This is like icing on the cake right now. To all of you who are in sales, you know that I am a top sales marketer in my company. And I am telling you right now, if you learn to sell the benefits and the WIFM, what's in it for me, you will find that you will convert more listeners into buyers, right? Sponsors are becoming a bit wary of buying glib selling talks based upon statements grabbed out of thin air. They want, and in the future will demand, indisputable proof that the Who Sit program not only gives millions of people the silliest giggle ever, but that the silly gigglers can sell merchandise. Another thing that might as well be understood by those who contemplate entering this new field of opportunity, radio advertising is going to be handled by an entirely new group of advertising experts, separate and distinct from the old-time newspaper and magazine advertising agency men. the old timers in the advertising game cannot read the modern radio scripts because they have been schooled to see ideas. The new radio technique demands men who can interpret ideas from a written manuscript in the terms of sound. I hope you all are listening to this. This is so powerful. You know what's so crazy? Another thing that might be understood by those contemplating entering the new field of opportunity, radio advertising is going to be handled by an entirely new group of advertising experts. Do you know why once you listen to, do you know why certain people watch certain news channels and they listen to certain radio stations? Because those newscasters or radio personalities have gained your trust. And so now you listen to them on your way to work. You watch them when you get in from work because they've gained your trust. Some of you, in Philadelphia, when we were living there, it was Channel 3, Channel 6, Channel 10. And those of us that watched Channel 10 swore by Channel 10. Those of us that watched Channel 6, which was ABC, swore by Channel 6. It is because those newscasters and those reporters had gained your trust. So if they were selling something, you would buy it because you had gained their trust. If they said, oh, we're going to go to this restaurant and check it out, there's a new restaurant in your area, you're going to go there because you trust what they say. So now if you're looking to market your product and your service, and now because social media, right, if it's not on social media, it didn't happen. And if you are not on social media, you don't even exist. And now you're trying to hide from the very platform that will help you to gain more popularity, will help you to gain more influence and look influential in and or over your product and or your service, therefore gaining more sales because you look like the expert and you have what you need and you build trust and rapport with your marketplace. Does this make any sense? If this is making any sense, just say whoop, whoop in the chat. All right, give me a whoop whoop in the chat. So radio right now is about where the moving pictures were when Mary Pickford and her curls first appeared on the screen. Oh, you know what? Let me go back. I missed the line. All right, manuscript. So it says, the new radio technique demands men who can interpret ideas from a written manuscript in terms of sound. It cost the author a year of hard labor and many thousands of dollars to learn this. Radio right now is about where the moving pictures were when Mary Pickford and her curls first appeared on the screen. There's plenty of room in radio for those who can produce or recognize ideas. So for those of you that think that the marketplace is saturated, it is not. There are billions of people who need your product and or your service. And now you've got to learn how to produce or recognize an idea when you see it and then take action. If the foregoing comment on the opportunities of radio has not started your idea factory to work, you had better forget it. Your opportunity is in some other field. If the comment intrigued you in the slightest degree, then go further into it. And you may find the one idea you need to round out your career. Never let it discourage you if you have no experience in radio. And this is not just about radio. You got to read beyond the words on the page. Andrew Carnegie knew very little about making steel. He knew nothing, as a matter of fact, about making steel, and he had no money. I have Carnegie's own word for this, but he made practical use of two of the principles described in this book and made the steel business yield him a fortune. The story of practically every great fortune starts with the day when a creator of ideas and a seller of ideas got together and worked in harmony. How do you create a fortune? When the creator of ideas and a seller of ideas got together and worked in harmony. That's why I have a business partner. Her name is Denisha Graham. She and I work well together because she's a creator of ideas and I am a seller of ideas. All right. Carnegie surrounded himself with men who could do all that he could not do. Men who created ideas and men who put ideas into operation and made himself and others fabulously rich. Millions of people go through life hoping for favorable breaks. Perhaps a favorable break can get one opportunity, but the safest plan is not to depend on luck. It was a favorable break that gave me the biggest opportunity of my life. But 25 years of determined effort had to be devoted to the opportunity before it became an asset. The break consisted of my good fortune in meeting the gaining the cooperation of Andrew Carnegie. On that occasion, Carnegie planted in my mind the idea of organizing the principles of achievement into a philosophy of success. Thousands of people who profited by the discoveries made in the 25 years of research and several fortunes have been accumulated through the application of the philosophy. The beginning was simple. It was an idea which anyone might have developed. The favorable break came through Carnegie, but what about the determination, the definiteness of purpose, and the desire to attain the goal, and the persistent effort of 25 years? It was no ordinary desire that survived disappointment, discouragement, temporary defeat, criticism, and the constant reminding of waste of time. It was a burning desire and obsession. So for those people that are in your ear telling you that what you're doing is a waste of time, telling you to stop dreaming, go get a real job, close your ears and your eyes. If you've got an idea and a burning desire, an obsession, you can change your life and the lives of those that are connected to you. When the idea was first planted in my mind by Mr. Carnegie, it was coaxed, nursed, and enticed to remain alive. So you can't allow that idea to die. You know, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And when you go sitting up in your room because nobody wants to support you, because your family and friends are talking about you and laughing at you, or they're talking about you because you left one company to go to another, what? You are putting yourself in a place where you're able to allow that passion and that desire to die. So gradually, the idea became a giant under its own power, and it coaxed, nursed, and it drove me. Ideas are like that. First, you give life and action and guidance to ideas, and then they take on power of their own and sweep aside all opposition. Ideas are intangible forces, but they have more power than the physical brains that give birth to them. They have the power to live on after the brain that creates them has returned to dust. For example, take the power of Christianity that began with a simple idea born in the brain of Christ. Its chief tenet was do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Christ has gone back to the source from whence he came, but his idea goes marching on. Someday, it may grow up and come into its own. Then it will have fulfilled Christ's deepest desire. The idea has been developing for only 2,000 years. So give it time. Listen to this. Success requires no explanations. I'm going to say that again. Success requires no explanations, and failure permits no alibis. Success requires no explanations, and failure permits no alibis. Of course, the dog is barking, y'all. We got the water delivery guy coming up the steps, but she's fine. She's fine. It's good, right? So that is the end of chapter 6. And that was a whopper. It was like a double whopper with bacon and cheese oozing out. I know we shouldn't be eating those or going there. I'm not saying I am. I'm just letting you know that chapter 6 was a doozy. It was good for us. It stretched us. It forced us to look in the mirror at ourselves. But I am excited that we move out of chapter 6. And if you remember, the title of chapter 6 was Imagination. And we now move into chapter 7, which is Organized Planning, the Crystallization of Desire into Action. And we're only going to read for a few more minutes. Organized Planning, the Crystallization of Desire into Action. This is the sixth step toward riches, okay? The crystallization of desire into action. You have learned that everything man creates or acquires begins in the form of desire. That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey, from the abstract to the concrete into the workshop of the imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. In chapter 2, you were instructed to take 6 definite practical steps as your first move in translating the desire for money into its monetary equivalent. One of these steps is the formation of a definite practical plan or plans through which this transformation may be made. You will now be instructed how to build plans which will be practical. Ally yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation and carrying out of your plan or plans. For the accumulation of money, making use of the mastermind principle described in a later chapter. Compliance with the instruction is absolutely essential. Do not neglect it. B, before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group. I want to stop right there. There are so many people who are always looking for what they can get. We cannot live our entire lives looking for what we can get. When do you put yourself in position to serve? Because even the greatest amongst us served. So maybe perhaps if you would stop looking for what you're not getting and for what you want out of something and look to what do you give? What do you bring to the table? Maybe it would change your perspective and you would stop being so disappointed and expecting things. And you know what? You guys have some people in a prison because you have this high, lofty expectation of people, and they have no idea that you have this high, lofty expectation of them. And so they fail you, not because they fail you because of anything that they've done. They're failing you because they don't even know that you've placed this heavy burden of expectation on them. What's even more ironic about that is many times we have this high expectation of everybody else around us except for ourselves. Imagine if you kept the same level of expectation that you have for others around you, and you too operated out of that same level of excellence. Where would your life be? I'm not stuck. I'm going to let that one all the way marinate like a good piece of meat. Pause. So, alliance decide what advantages and benefits you may offer. What do you bring to the table? Members of your group in return for their cooperation. No one will work indefinitely without some form of compensation. No intelligent person will either request or expect another to work without adequate compensation, although this may not always be in the form of money. Then arrange to meet the members of your mastermind group at least twice a week, and more often if possible, if you have jointly perfected the necessary plan or plans for the accumulation of money. And then maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your mastermind group. If you fail to carry out this instruction to the letter, you may expect to meet with failure. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not prevail. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not prevail. Keep in mind these facts. First, you are engaged in an undertaking of major importance to you. To be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. Second, you must have the advantage of the experience, education, native ability, and imagination of other minds. This is in harmony with the methods followed by every person who has accumulated a great fortune. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. Every plan that you adopt in your endeavor to accumulate wealth should be the joint creation of yourself and every other member of your mastermind group. You may originate your own plans, either in whole or in part, but see that those plans are checked and approved by the members of your mastermind alliance. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. You know, that line right there could preach all by itself. Because what I don't understand is, especially when it comes to business, I find, especially in the profession of network marketing, when you're working a system and maybe it worked for a little bit and then it stops working, and then you decide, you know what, we need to work another system. And then you get all this murmuring and groanings and complaining from people like, why are we changing to it? Now we got to do something else. This says, if the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. And if this new plan fails to work, replace it until in turn with still another, and so on until you find a plan which does work. So is the problem that the plan didn't work and you had to shift, or is the problem you and your stinking thinking? That you have to learn in life that we have to be able to pivot. But some of y'all are holding on to an old plan that's not working. Some of y'all holding on to old companies and products that ain't working. Some of y'all are holding on for dear life to something that is not working and wondering why you're not having success or you're frustrated. The shift has to take place in your mind. Everybody in the chat, just go on and type in the word shift. Change the plan. Right here is the point, which the majority of men meet with failure. I know you mad because I just said what I said, but it's in the book. You meet with failure because of your lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail. So the plan failed. You're not making any money, and now you're going to complain that they came up with a new plan. You know why? Because you're just a complainer. And some people just love to complain. Love to, instead of just pivoting. And you know why? Because it's going to require you to learn some new skill sets. So now you're mad. But learning new skill sets mean you're growing. So we would much rather stay broke and in a place that's dry, dead, and desolate than to grow. It says the most intelligent man living cannot succeed in accumulating money nor in any other undertaking without plans which are practical and workable. Just keep this fact in mind. And remember, when your plans fail, that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It may only mean that your plans have not been sound. Build other plans. Start all over again. Thomas A. Edison failed 10,000 times before he perfected the incandescent electric light bulb. That is, that he met with temporary defeat 10,000 times before his efforts were crowned with success. How many times have you met with temporary defeat? Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Put that in the chat. Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Temporary defeat should only mean one thing: the certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. Millions of men go through life in misery and poverty because they lack a sound plan through which to accumulate a fortune. Henry Ford accumulated a fortune not because of his superior mind, but because he adopted and followed a plan which proved to be sound. 1,000 men could be pointed out, each with a better education than Ford's, yet each of whom lives in poverty because he does not possess the right plan for the accumulation of money. Your achievement can be no greater than your plans are sound. That may seem to be an axiomatic statement, but it is true. Samuel Insull lost his fortune of over $100 million. The Insull fortune was built on plans which were sound. The business depression forced Mr. Insull to change his plans, and the change brought temporary defeat. Because his new plans were not sound, Mr. Insull is now an old man. He may consequently accept failure instead of temporary defeat. But in his experience turns out to be failure, it will be for the reason that he lacks the fire of persistence to rebuild his plans. He lacks the fire of persistence to build his plans. So could the problem be that right now you lack the fire of persistence to rebuild your plans? No man is ever equipped until he quits in his own mind. So that's the problem, that in your mind, you quit. In your head, you quit. The fact will be repeated many times because it's so easy to take the count. At the first sign of defeat, James J. Hill met with temporary defeat when he first endeavored to raise the necessary capital to build a railroad from the east to the west, but he too turned defeat into victory through new plans. Henry Ford met with temporary defeat not only at the beginning of his automobile career, but after he had gone far toward the top. He created new plans and went marching on to financial victory. We see men who have accumulated great fortunes, but we often recognize only their triumph, overlooking the temporary defeats which they had to surmount before arriving. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. So rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. If you give up before your goals has been reached, you are a quitter. If you give up before your goals have been reached, you are a quitter. I didn't say it, the book said it. If you give up before your goal has been reached, you are a quitter. Are you a quitter? A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Lift this sentence out. Write it on a piece of paper in letters an inch high and place it where you will see it every night before you go to sleep and every morning before you go to work. When you begin to select members for your mastermind group, endeavor to select those who do not take defeat seriously. Some people foolishly believe that only money can make money. This is not true. See, you think that you need a lot of money to make money. That's the problem. No, you only need desire. You know, when I started the company that I'm with right now back in February, none of us had any product. None of us had any product. And there are some people that didn't have any money. We were in another company where they weren't making any money. Paul, am I lying? They pre-sold product that they didn't even have and made a lot of money. We had people that made $2,000 in their first week of business with no money and no product. To the point where they had to keep ordering tons of products because they had none. They had no product, but they had an idea. They had a plan. They had some scripts that we gave out. We had a system. So some people foolishly believe that only money can make money. This is not true. Desire transmuted into its monetary equivalent through the principles laid down here is the agency through which money is made. Money of itself is nothing but inert matter. It cannot move, it cannot think, or it cannot talk, but it can hear. When a man who desires it calls it to come. Money cannot move, it cannot think, and it cannot talk, but it can hear. And when a man who desires it calls it to come. Let that one marinate. Money cannot think, it cannot move, and it cannot talk, but it can hear. When a man who desires it calls it to come. We're going to stop right there, you guys. This has been amazing as we are in chapter 7, and we got a ways to go in chapter 7. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. You guys, this is getting it, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting gooder and gooder and gooder. Listen, y'all don't come to book club alone. You got to make sure you're telling your friends and your family, your business partners, your associates, other things that you are in, other things that you're involved in. Hey, that we have this book club, and then this chapter is it's gonna be a little different the way we have to finish this chapter. Okay, you guys. So listen. I am so glad that we had this time together. And I want you to all remember that no matter what you're going through in life, that you can live again, laugh again, hope again, dream again, and you most certainly can bling again. I want you to have a bling-tastic evening, the rest of your evening, and the rest of your week. Make sure that you pay it forward. Do a good deed. Be kind to one another, especially with this being the week of Thanksgiving. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks. There's a song that we used to sing, and now let the weak say I am strong, let the poor say I am rich, because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks. And listen, if you're alone this holiday, right? Just remember you're never alone, and you might be a little lonely, but you're never alone. We're sending you virtual hugs from Philadelphia, which is where we'll be for the holidays, right? So listen, you guys, I want you to make sure that you subscribe to this channel, okay? Subscribe to this channel, and then make sure that you go get registered on my website at ninarmorer.com. ninarmorer.com. And last but certainly not least, you do realize that if you want to live 2024 and have 2024 be a year of miracles, right? Be a year of living the life that you've designed. But listen, but you haven't planned it out. You haven't written down the goal. You have no idea how to even start the 12 plan system to vision. Well, on December the 2nd, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., Paul and I are hosting the Dream Again Vision Experience here in Atlanta, Georgia. All right. We're providing a full dinner, appetizers, salad, dinner, dessert, right? And we have amazing speakers such as Tanisha Graham, was a former professional basketball player and a multiple 7-figure income earner. We have Mr. David Solomon of David Power Talk himself, you guys. He's a motivational speaker, certified motivational speaker, and the creator of Pain is Power. And then we're going to have some financial instructions on how to make sure that you set yourself up for a financially free, debt-free 2024. And stay tuned, because we're going to let you know who's going to be speaking on finances that day. But here's what you got to do. You got to get your ticket, because there's only a few left. You can, and once they're sold out, there is absolutely nothing that Paul and I can do for you. If you can't physically be there yourself, sponsor somebody who you know is in Atlanta or who can make it to Atlanta. Maybe they're close by in South Carolina, in North Carolina, or Jacksonville, Florida, going down, towards Florida, and they can drive to get here. Sponsor someone to be here. We have 3 flex pay opportunities for you to utilize: Affirm, Klarna, and Affirm, Klarna, and Afterpay. All right. Affirm, Klarna, and Afterpay. You'll see those options at checkout. So go to that link right there, right? And get your ticket before they are all sold out. We are almost at capacity, and I would hate for you to miss it. So listen, until then, don't eat too much this week, right? But if you do, I got you, right? But make sure that you get back here next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bring a friend, because sharing is caring, you guys. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Until next time, we'll see you soon.